ଲାଇଭ୍ ଅଛି।
ସରି
También like.
Pinterest tidak ada.
ड्रेस की वो कुछ चलना पड़ा
नहीं तेरा खुला है आवर से
आज से कुछ अकाउंट
तो जो आई छड़ गई
Contact di bola ni masih. Live আছে না?
Yes sir.
আর এটা কিছু লাইভ কিছু আছে।
So it's live.
Live So click on that mail. And therefore session 1.
So we'll study with data center security. Okay?
Okay, sir.
So we were talking about data center security. So what is a data center basically? A data center is a centralized location of data and application. A data center is a premise that houses servers, networking equipment, and non-IT gadget to provide facility for data storage, backup, recovery of data, data management, and networking. Almost all data centers function 24/7 throughout the year. Importance of data center in businesses. DCs are designed to support business applications such as cloud storage, corporate email, business file sharing, productivity application, customer relationship management, enterprise resource planning, ERP application, big data, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and collaboration and communication and collaboration services. Core component of the data center. We have computing resources, we have servers that provide processing, memory, local storage, and network connectivity that drives application. Storage infrastructure, storage systems that are used to hold valuable data. Network infrastructure that connects server, storage, and provide external connectivity to the end user. And non-IT infrastructure includes security gadgets, CCTV कैमरा, एक्सेस कंट्रोल डिवाइस मतलब जिसमें आप कार्ड स्वाइप करके अंदर घुसते हैं, एक्सेस कंट्रोल डिवाइस, पावर बैकअप, यूपीएस, genset provides security and continuity of the data center. Basically, there are 4 tier of data center. Okay, basic site infrastructure, provision for single capacity component, single non-redundant distribution path, and limited protection against physical events. Tier 2 redundant capacity component site infrastructure, provision for redundant capacity component, single non-redundant distribution path, and improved protection against physical events. Concurrent maintainable site infrastructure, provision for redundant capacity component, multiple independent distribution path, and protection against virtually all physical events. And tier 4 is fault tolerant site infrastructure, provision for capacity components, multiple independent distribution path, and highest level of fault tolerance and redundancy enable concurrent maintainability without downtime. Now, what is this? Basic infrastructure. Now, when we talk of the data center, the server needs 3 important things. One is the connectivity, the second one is the cooling, and the third one is the power. Now, cooling, whatever AC you find here, these are basically comfort AC. For data center, we require precision AC, PS. So, precision AC not only takes care of the temperature but also takes care of the humidity level inside the data center. That's a very important thing. the relative humidity level of the data center must be in the tune of 50 to 55%. Beyond which, if less humid is there, there will be static generation of electricity. If it is more humidity will be there, then it will actually all those corrosion will happen to all those components. Okay. So basic infrastructure, we have provision for single capacity component. We have single UPS, we have single PSC, means there is no redundant PSC, single PSC and single UPS. Okay, and single connectivity path. We have one service provider that will be connecting through the lease line. And immediate protection against physical events. Like we have very less protection against the physical event. It is one of the low cost data center what we have. Second one, the tier 2 is redundant capacity component side. We have two UPS. So what we have done in our NITER Kolkata, we have two concurrent UPS. We are sending the three-phase power, three-phase out power, three-phase in, three-phase out power to the servers. And every server, every device, other than what is being provided by BSNL or some other, where we don't have control. Every server and every device has got a dual power supply. That is coming independently from the two different power sources which are UPS. Then we have redundant ACs, like it works on time-based function. Every 4 hours the AC switches. But unfortunately, we don't have PSCs. We could not implement PSCs, so we have tower ACs which are cooling the system. But actually, it is not very, the cooling is not very good. Okay. Then we have two concurrent connections. Okay. One from NKN and the other from the PSC. And we have, so you can see here that we have this kind and then we have gone through this. Okay, we are in the tier 2 and tier 3 in between. But protection against virtually all physical events, we don't have that. Means we don't have those facilities to protection against fire and other things. We have to, that's why every 1 hour there is a person who is looking into the data center if there is any untoward incident. At night also our electrical people are watching. And we have some system like if the temperature of the data center goes up, that alarm we have. We have previously we had fire alarm, but actually it has not stopped working. You know what happens. Okay. So this is there. Then we have concurrent maintainable site infrastructure, means we can have the same site infrastructure or we can have multiple infrastructure, okay, in some other place. Like one you have in Kotak, another one you have in Bhubaneswar. And here also provision for redundant capacity components, multiple independent distribution paths, so you will have multiple connectivity and then protection against virtual or physical errors. And this is a fault tolerance site. So there maybe instead of having two set of genset, two set of in what state data center have, they are really a fault tolerance system. There are 3 genset that they use for. They have 2 UPS systems that give continuous backup. They have fire fighting equipments. They have not only fire detection equipment but also a fire fighting equipment. So these kind of things are there when we are thinking of designing data center. Now, what I would like to say here is that the tier you will choose will depend on the amount you have in your pocket. That's the most important thing. Type of data center. We have enterprise DC, managed services DC, colocation DC, and cloud DC. Enterprise DC means built, owned, and operated and maintained by company on their in-house operation. That is, they will create a data center and then they will not give it on hire. They will be using it for their own resources, like buying a car and going to office with that car. Okay. Managed service DC. Managed service DC are third party company. Okay, third party company. What you have now in our government Some department they take rented car. Similarly, here also managed by third party on the behalf of the company. So all data centers is basically managed DC, most of them. Okay. Then co-location DCs, business rent space on the third party DC and co-locate server. Now some of the organizations they take space in Amazon, they take space in Google, and then they rent it for their application. And finally, this cloud DC. So this cloud service providers such as Amazon Web Service, Microsoft Azure, or IBM Cloud, they create their own DC, and that will be used by. So you will be surprised to know that Amazon Cloud or Google Cloud, they may have at a particular data center, they may have 20,000 servers. It's a huge capacity. They may be having some 20, 30 UPSs that will be handling the situation. And there may be servers which are fully getting cooled not only by air but also by the water system. Chilled water system cooling is being carried out because there is a lot of heat that is coming out of that. Security measures for DC. We have physical security measure, that's the most important thing. So DC must be properly having an access control mechanism. That is, nobody should be able to enter without their proper biometric verification, without their proper login code, and without their proper card. So that is the most important, physical security. Second one is the power failure management. So most of the data centers, they will have, especially if we are talking of state data center or data centers managed by NIC, there they will have a 3 gen set of 8 hours duration. So it can have a complete power backup of more than 24 hours. Okay. So management from all other physical events like flooding. So normally the data center is always kept, the genset and the other things are kept on the ground floor, but the data center is being created mostly the preferred location is first floor. If it is not available, it will be on the second floor, not beyond. Okay. Access control mechanism, protection of every device through your electronic lock gates. Then protection against network attack, DOS, phishing. So this is being taken care by the firewalls which are running inside the data center. Physical security. DC should be designed, deployed, and installed in a building with fencing to avoid physical intrusion. The premise of DC should be well illuminated. DC should not be installed on the ground floor to avoid catastrophic situation during rainy season or flooding. DC should not be deployed in seismic zone 5 to prevent loss of data from earthquake. At times there are certain state data centers which are there in the seismic zone 5. DC should be installed preferably on the first floor or easy evacuation of the people in case of fire and earthquake. And DC must be installed in places with frequent landslide as it disrupts connectivity of the end user with DC. Now, the thing is that if you are in a state where the entire state is under landslide and hill and other, like Nagaland, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh, then there is no other way. You have to set up the DC. Okay.
So what is the seismic zone?
Seismic zone, the earthquake sensitive zone. Power failure management. DC should be designed, deployed, and installed in a building with fencing to avoid. With UPS redundancy. However, UPS can provide limited time backup and therefore power backup in tune of up to 24 hours is a must. The obvious solution is a set of 3 gensets with auto main failures. Auto main failures means as soon as the power goes off, the first generation generator starts. After 8 hours or in between, if the generator goes down, automatically the second generator will start. So this is called AMF, auto main failure. Once the power is disrupted, the first generation should start within 2 to 5 minutes. In case the first generation fails due to breakdown or after certain time completion of the circuit, service, the second generation should start. In case the second genset failed due to similar result, the third genset should start. The three set of gensets should operate without human intervention to avoid any catastrophe. However, in case it is possible to have power supply from two separate power distribution companies, it is a preferable solution. Management of other physical devices. Normally, DC runs 24 into 7 for 365 days a year. The ambience inside the DC is different as temperature, maintenance, and heat management is of immense importance, and hence the location for deployment is normally unknown. DC uses precision air conditioning system we call PSC, which maintain not only desired temperature but also relative humidity. PSC is used in DC should have redundant system except in case of Tier 1. Tier 1 DC जो दिखा है उसमें redundant है. In order to avoid fire, DC uses very early detection of smoke appliances that is best up and uses inert gases as fire extinguishers. To prevent physical protection from intrusion, CCTV and access control devices are installed in the premise. The authorized personnel must have access to DC using biometric access control such as fingerprint, retina scan, and/or voice recognition system. Access control. DC are very sensitive infrastructure and require fully secure access control. Personnel in charge of maintenance must have legitimate access to access control fitted in the entrance. Outsider contractors, those who require legitimate access to DC, must be verified before providing access by use of their identity and storing their biometric information and photo. Normally, nowadays, what happens? Aadhaar-based biometrics are used to protect it. Okay. Log must be maintained electronically as well as physically for the personnel at entrance. So they will make a register as well as they will keep an electronic log. Tailgating should and must be strictly prohibited. What is tailgating is, suppose Raghunath is entering, I am also following. When Raghunath enters, the gate should close, then again I should use my card to enter it. This kind of technology must be used in your DC. Protection of network attacks, DOS and phishing. DC contains sensitive information related to the people who are being delivered with a number of services. So, sensitive information such as Aadhaar number, passport number, voter ID, PAN, and other information can create chaos. Network attacks such as hacking, virus attack, Trojan horse attack are very common. At times when information availability is the requirement, DOS or DDoS attack can create havoc. For example, in case the result declares that if DOS attacks are being performed, then millions of students are deprived from obtaining their results. Banking system is a common victim of phishing attack when legitimate user of banking and financial organization land up in fake website leading to loss of critical information. So this is basically your data center security, how you protect your data center, physical protection as well as simultaneously your equipment should be protected. Yeah. We have very small presentation, okay. Now coming to this, we have firewall. So firewall is basically, what is a firewall? A firewall is a system that manages the security of a private network. Please keep in mind, firewall never manages the security of the internet. It always manages the security of your internal. This is usually done on the basis of set of predetermined security rules configured for the network. A firewall typically establishes a barrier between a trusted, secure internal network and another outside network, such as internet, that is assumed not to be secure or some much trusted by the private network. Firewall may be classified as network-based firewall, which are basically hardware device that provides NAC, network admission control, IPS, IDS, antivirus, anti-spam, etc. Or host-based firewall that provide a layer of software to control network traffic for that particular host. Means every PC, every server has got a firewall. How does this firewall works? We deploy the firewall in between the two core switches, SW core A and core B. Okay, so this is the firewall connected. The traffic from the two switches are routed through the firewall. The firewall inspects each packet and allow to pass on the basis of the rule configured. The NAC is performed on the basis of the security rules. Basic configuration of the firewall. Normally, how do you configure a firewall? The interface configuration, like we configure the interface yesterday on switches, on firewall also you have to configure interface. Provide an IP address or something. NAT configuration, that is the static NAT and the dynamic NAT. Proxy server we use for dynamic NAT, and static NAT yesterday I shown that one public IP will be mapped with a respective private IP with number of ports. So these are NAT configuration. Then firewall must have a routing policy. So where these all packets have to be forwarded, that has to be decided by the firewall. Then we have rule based on port or access list. Who are there to access a particular thing? Say for example, one particular server, web server. Which VLAN can access that web server? Which VLAN is prohibited from accessing that web server? So that is rule based on port or access list and policy for determination of the security. And firewall always. Suppose I want that the user, the guest of NITER Kolkata, they should only have an access to the internet, but none of the servers should be accessed by them. So that can be done using a firewall. So this is the deployment of the firewall. You can see here how we deploy it. Suppose we have 10.11.12.1 and 10.11.12.2. These are the two IP addresses. Okay. Now we have 10.11.12.5 as one IP address, which is working as a proxy inside the firewall. Or inside the firewall also you can set up a proxy, or you can have a proxy server for it. So you can have a proxy server for it. Now it is being mapped with 192.168.16.4. So this mapping is not here. The mapping is done on the firewall. But it is very difficult to show here, that's why that has been done. Now suppose coming to your web server 10.11.12.10. This is the IP for the web server. Considering that this is the public IP, it will be mapped with 192.168.16.10. So again, there is a static mapping between this. So we have a static mapping for proxy server, we have a static mapping for web server, we have a static mapping from mail server also. We have a two static mapping for DNS server. So consider that there is an institute named XIT, X Institute of Technology, having an URL xit.edu.in, then we will have a DNS called NS1. You can give DNS1, we generally give name server. NS1.xit.edu.in and NS2.xit.edu.in. Now we have 10.11.12.3 and 10.11.12.4, these two IP addresses mapped with Now 192.168.16.30 and 192.168.16.40. So this has been mapped with that. This is a static connectivity between the public IP and the private IP. Now when this has been done, so that this has been protected from hacking the server. Okay. Now we have mail server, now we have web server, we have e-learning server. So e-learning domain is elearn.excite.edu.in, and all these domains are stored. All these domain mail.tigercode.excite.edu.in or excite.edu.in, all these things are being stored in the A record of the DNS server. So this is generally a disclaimer is given that the connection which have been set up, the connection which have been set up in the following presentation is based on the connection layout and deployment laid down by the instructor. You can do another kind of connection. This is not the final one. So that's why there is a disclaimer sort of thing. Now, if you have any question here, we can answer it, or we will quickly go to the other presentation.
What is Trojan horse?
Huh?
What is Trojan horse?
Trojan horse attack is basically it enters through some loophole, and then it open up all the codes after entering into the server. So actually what happened, Trojan horse, the name has come. Previously in the European country, there are some small kingdoms. So the king of one kingdom, if they want to capture the king of another kingdom, they would send some gift, like some through some kind of rocks or something like that. Yeah. And inside those, there are places where sentries or the Sainik were actually hidden. So once they enter into their city, they attack the city and open up door for other troops to come. So this is basically Trojan horse attack, some kind of application which enters with some other genuine application, which malicious application enters with some other genuine application and open up all your code, making your system vulnerable. So that other attacks can be run on those systems. This is called Trojan horse.
I'm going to protect myself from this.
How will you?
I'm going to protect myself.
Yeah. So for this purpose, you have to have an antivirus and anti-malware system. Then you have to have a proper firewall system. And where there is an IDS and IPS, intrusion prevention system and intrusion detection system. So that uses key packet inspection technology to see whether one Trojan horse application has been attached with a genuine application or not. So for this purpose, we use the firewall.
So you have said that every site and every system, the system has a firewall.
No, every system is host has a firewall. आपका मशीन में भी firewall है.
So can we check it?
Yeah, you can stop it, you can on it, you can off it. Firewall है.
So can you please do it now?
We can do it. Here, if you go to the system, see here, you go to the system, and then you go to the setting, and then you go for the system, and then there is a firewall protecting the PC. No, projecting the PC, sorry. System, okay, you go here and search firewall. Yeah, this is the Windows Defender firewall. Inbound rules, outbound rules, connection security rules. You can put monitoring. So this is there. See, you can close this.
Also, we can edit it.
Yeah, you can view active firewall rules. View active component, view security association. Windows Defender firewall is on. You can off it also. You can off it also. So yeah. Yeah, you can stop it from here. See here it is recommended na. You can click here and you can off it. You can see here. Off it. But you should not off it. Every system has got a firewall. But at times, suppose you want to ping a wireless, it is not pinging because the firewall is on. So check for that purpose, for the timing, you stop it and check it and then verify it and then again restart the firewall. Now we come to the identity and access management. Sir, up to what time I can take before lunch?
Actually, lots are being prepared. You will take lots and person will take. So I think after 20 minutes you can start.
From 20 minutes we can stop. Means अभी 140 हो रहा है, 120 हो रहा है. We can complete by 140. Identity management system, also known as identity and access management system, is an important aspect of cyber security, network security, business process outcome. It provides accessibility to right personnel to access a legitimate resource, whereas it protects it from an unauthorized access to any resource in the cyber world. Identity and access management system can be divided into three parts. One is the identity management, second one is the access management, and third one is the posture.
So lots has added so that. So take 10 minutes and start.
Or else, sir, we will stop. After lunch, we will have session. So we will stop here because
It will take time. Okay.
it will take time. Sir, we
Okay, sir, you can stop. And after lots you can do. Yes.
So you can stop sharing this and end stream.
Yes.